The autumn of 1944 found the Empire of Japan in a perilous position. Years of brutal warfare had attrited its naval and air forces, leaving its vast conquests vulnerable. The relentless Allied advance across the Pacific now pointed like a dagger at the Philippines. For Japan, the loss of the Philippines would be a catastrophic blow, severing the vital sea lanes to its resource-rich territories in the Dutch East Indies. Without this oil, the Imperial Japanese Navy would be rendered impotent, unable to sortie from its home bases. The American strategic planners, led by General Douglas MacArthur, saw the liberation of the Philippines as both a strategic necessity and a moral imperative. On October 20th, 1944, this vision began to materialize as American troops stormed the beaches of the island of Leyte. In response, the Japanese Imperial General Headquarters activated a complex and desperate plan known as Shogo 1. It was a final, monumental gamble to annihilate the American invasion fleet and turn the tide of the war. The plan called for the commitment of nearly every operational vessel remaining in the Imperial Japanese Navy. Japanese forces were divided into three main groups, each with a distinct and critical role. The most powerful of these was the Center Force, commanded by Vice Admiral Takeo Kurita. This formidable armada included the two largest battleships ever built, Yamato and Musashi. Kurita's mission was to sail through the Sibuyan Sea and the San Bernardino Strait to fall upon the vulnerable American landing transports in Leyte Gulf. A southern force, split into two groups under Vice Admirals Shoji Nishimura and Kiyo Hideshima, was to approach Leyte Gulf through the Surigao Strait. Their pincer movement was intended to crush the invasion fleet from the south. The final element was a northern force, a decoy commanded by Vice Admiral Jisaburo Osawa. Composed of Japan's remaining aircraft carriers, it was critically short of trained pilots and aircraft. Osawa's task was to lure the powerful American Third Fleet, under the command of the aggressive Admiral William Bull Halsey, northward and away from Leyte. The American naval power was immense, divided between Admiral Halsey's Third Fleet and Admiral Thomas Kinkaid's Seventh Fleet. Halsey's Third Fleet was a fast carrier strike force, the most powerful naval formation on the planet. Kinkaid's Seventh Fleet, the MacArthur's Navy, was responsible for the direct protection and support of the invasion forces. A critical flaw in the American command structure was the lack of a single overall naval commander. Halsey reported to Admiral Nimitz in Hawaii, while Kinkaid reported to General MacArthur. This division would have near disastrous consequences. The battle began on October 23rd, not with a grand fleet action, but with a stealthy encounter beneath the waves. The American submarines USS Darter and Dace discovered Kurita's center force entering the Palawan Passage. In a swift and deadly attack, they sank two heavy cruisers, including Kurita's flagship, Atago. Admiral Kurita was forced to swim for his life and transfer his flag to the battleship Yamato. Next day, October 24th, brought the full fury of American air power down upon the center force in the Sibuyan Sea. Wave after wave of aircraft, launched from Halsey's carriers, descended on the Japanese fleet. The Japanese sailors put up a tremendous wall of anti-aircraft fire. The sky was filled with the black puffs of exploding shells and the red lines of tracer fire. American pilots bravely flew through this maelstrom to deliver their deadly payloads. Their primary target was the super battleship Musashi, sister ship of the Yamato. Colossal vessel absorbed an incredible amount of punishment. Throughout the day, it was struck by an estimated 19 torpedoes and 17 bombs. Slowly, inexorably, the great ship was battered into submission. Late in the afternoon, the Musashi finally capsized and sank, taking over 1,000 of her crew with her. The loss of the Musashi was a staggering blow to the Japanese. During the onslaught, Kurita had ordered his fleet to temporarily reverse course. Reconnaissance pilots from the Third Fleet reported this, leading Admiral Halsey to a fateful conclusion. He believed that the center force was crippled and retreating for good. At this crucial moment, scout planes located Ozawa's northern force of decoy carriers. The bait had been spotted. Halsey, an aggressive carrier admiral by nature, saw the opportunity to destroy Japan's remaining carrier strength. He made the momentous decision to take his entire Third Fleet north in pursuit. He fatefully left the San Bernardino Strait completely unguarded. Meanwhile, the battle's second act was unfolding in the south. During the night of October 24-25, Nishimura's southern force steamed towards the Surigao Strait. They were sailing into a perfectly prepared trap. Admiral Jesse Oldendorf of the 7th Fleet had arranged his forces with deadly precision. He deployed his PT boats and destroyers in successive waves along the length of the strait. At the strait's northern exit, he positioned his line of battleships and cruisers. This allowed him to execute the classic naval maneuver of crossing the T. Oldendorf's fleet could bring all its guns to bear on the approaching enemy, who could only reply with their forward turrets. As Nishimura's ships entered the strait, they were harried by relentless torpedo attacks. The battleship Fuso was struck by torpedoes and broke in two. Despite the losses, Nishimura pressed on with grim determination. He steamed directly into the guns of Oldendorf's battle line. The American battleships, many of them veterans of Pearl Harbor, unleashed a devastating barrage. The flagship Yamashiro was pounded into a burning wreck before sinking. Admiral Nishimura went down with his ship. The second Japanese group under Admiral Shima, seeing the inferno ahead, wisely decided to retreat. Battle of Surigao Strait was a complete and overwhelming American victory. It was the last time in history that battleships would engage each other in a major action. As dawn broke on October 25th, the most dramatic and desperate phase of the battle was about to begin. Kurita's center force, having passed through the unguarded San Bernardino Strait during the night, had achieved complete surprise. Directly in its path lay a small, hopelessly outgunned American task unit designated Taffy 3. Taffy 3, commanded by Rear Admiral Clifton Sprague, consisted of 6 small escort carriers, 3 destroyers, and 4 even smaller destroyer escorts. Their job was to provide air support for ground troops, not to fight battleships. An American pilot on patrol made the unbelievable sighting. He radioed in a panic, incredulous voice about the Japanese fleet. Against them were 4 battleships, 6 heavy cruisers, and a host of destroyers. Admiral Sprague, realizing the gravity of the situation, ordered his ships into immediate action. The escort carriers, nicknamed Jeep carriers, turned into the wind to launch their aircraft. The destroyers and destroyer escorts charged forward in what seemed like a suicidal attack. Their mission was to buy time for the carriers to escape. They laid smoke screens to obscure the Japanese gunners' view. The USS Johnston, under Commander Ernest Evans, was the first to attack. It fired its torpedoes and scored a hit on the heavy cruiser Kumano. The Johnston was then savaged by enemy shells, but continued to fight. The other small ships of the screen joined the fray with incredible bravery. USS Hoole charged and was quickly sunk by overwhelming firepower. The USS Samuel B. Roberts fought valiantly for hours before succumbing to damage. Meanwhile, the pilots from the escort carriers attacked with everything they had. They dropped bombs and torpedoes, then made dummy runs to distract the enemy. The sheer ferocity of the American defense began to confuse Admiral Kurita. The destroyer attacks and constant air assaults made him believe he was facing a much larger force. His fleet was becoming disorganized as ships maneuvered to avoid torpedoes. In one of the most controversial decisions of the war, Kurita decided to break off the attack. He believed he had accomplished his mission and feared the arrival of Halsey's carriers. Taffy III, against all odds, had survived and turned back a vastly superior force. Their ordeal was not over. However, the Battle of Samar saw the first organized use of a terrifying new weapon, the kamikaze. Special attack units targeted the surviving escort carriers. A kamikaze crashed into the flight deck of the USS St. Lo. The resulting fires and explosions doomed the ship, which sank shortly after. Other carriers were damaged but survived the suicide attacks. While Taffy III fought for its life, Admiral Halsey was hundreds of miles to the north. He was executing his own plan to destroy Ozawa's decoy carriers off Cape Engano. The battle was a complete mismatch. Ozawa's carriers had few planes to defend themselves. Halsey's air groups struck with overwhelming force. They systematically sank all 4 of the Japanese carriers. Among them was the Suikaku, the last survivor of the 6 carriers that had attacked Pearl Harbor. Halsey's victory was total, but it came at a price he did not yet understand. Frantic messages from Admiral Kinkaid about the attack on Taffy III had been delayed and confusing. Finally, a blunt message from Admiral Nimitz reached Halsey's flagship. It asked, "Where is Task Force 34? The world wondered, and Halsey, stung by the rebuke, turned his fastest ships south. But it was too late. Kurita's force had already escaped. The Battle of Leyte Gulf was over. It was a decisive, if messy, Allied victory. The Imperial Japanese Navy had ceased to exist as an effective fighting force. Japan lost 4 carriers, 3 battleships, numerous cruisers and destroyers, and over 10,000 sailors. Allied losses were lighter, but still significant, including 1 light carrier and 2 escort carriers. The heroism of the men of Taffy III became legendary. Commander Ernest Evans of the USS Johnston was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. The path to the liberation of the Philippines was now secure. The battle remains the largest naval engagement in world history. It was a sprawling, chaotic, and brutal confrontation. The engagement stretched over more than 100,000 square miles of sea. It involved hundreds of ships and hundreds of thousands of men. The battle was a testament to both strategic genius and fatal error. It showcased incredible acts of courage against impossible odds. The echoes of its gunfire signaled the beginning of the end for the Japanese Empire.